No, but you're doing that thing. Well, we both sinning. Sin's a sin, okay? But we stop magnifying certain sins to make ourselves look good. That's why it's important not to judge, because the truth be told, all of us got some issues in us. Right? Y'all agree with that? All of us got some issues in us. We all wrestle with the flesh. Right? There's always a war going on in us. Even though we try to do right, once in a while we stumble and we do something wrong and we sin. But listen, don't be too hard on yourself, because guess what? Christ told us that was going to happen. He said, you're going to sin. He said, but know that, but you don't practice sin, right? You're going to make a mistake and sin, but you don't practice to go out and sin. You make a mistake, you stumble, you fall, you come back, God got his hand wide open for you. He said, I died for that. And he said, anybody say they don't sin, you're lying. He said, the truth ain't in you. So that's why we have no room to judge anybody. What we have to do is teach them sound doctrine. That's what Paul's talking about. He says, speak those things which become sound doctrine. Don't water down the gospel. Tell them exactly what Jesus said. Don't judge him, because I'm going to tell you why. The word will work for itself. You ain't got to judge nobody. Give them that word. And once you give them, the word is going to convict them. And what I always tell them, here it is in the word. I didn't put it there. It was there before I was alive. It's there before I died. That's what God said. And if God said it, there's no conversation about it. I mean, you can't compromise. If God said it, that's it. Either you believe it or you don't. But God said it. That's why God was telling Titus, he said, preach sound doctrine, right? In other words, preach the gospel, okay? He said, and this is why I want you to preach it, so that the aged men, that the elder men, he said, teach the older men to exercise self-control, right? Just like me and Wardell and Pastor Hampton. We are considered like in the church. We have to have, all the men in the church have to have self-control, because we have to be an example for the young men that come into this church. They're looking at us, right? They're looking at our demeanor, what we say, how we act. Titus telling people, teach the older men to exercise that. When we get upset, you can't just blot out the first thing to come to your mind. You have to exercise self-control. You have to be worthy of respect. Once you have self-control, you're worthy of respect. And he said, and to live wisely. He said that they must have sound faith and be filled with love and patience. Paul is telling Titus, that's what you need to teach the men in the church, okay? Y'all women, y'all not getting off either. We're coming to y'all too. Teach the men to exercise self-control, okay? If you teach the men in the church, watch this now, to exercise self-control, to be worthy of respect and to live wisely, then when there's a problem in the church, there's only certain men that the church folks are going to go to, because they know who's the wise men in the church who have self-control, who show compassion and patience and love. You can tell somebody they're wrong and what they're not doing in a loving manner. It's the way you tell folk stuff. You can approach, if a young man come into church with a baseball cap on backwards and come to church, don't take it off. Right? A visitor in the church, right? Is it right for me and Ordell or pastor to go to that young man, take their hat off in that church? No. But there are some people in the church, if we don't do that here, because I'm like this. If a young man come in this church with his hat on backwards, now as Wardell and myself, we have to exercise self-control, right? We see this young man coming to church. We don't know this young man, but he's coming to church with his hat on backwards, and he sits down, don't take his hat off. This is just an example. We ought to exercise self-control. The average, some of the church go, get that, that's disrespectful. Take that hat off your head. You approach the man like that. You know what that do to that young man? Run right out to church and never come back again. What we would do, what we have done, it has happened. Me and Pat, we seen it. We ain't say nothing. We look at each other, well, you know what? Thank God he's in the church. Now that he's in the door, we can preach and teach to him. We can teach him. But you gotta get him in first, right? And once he's in the house, now is an opportunity to teach that young man. If we show him love and we exercise self-control, he might come back next Sunday without a hat, right? But if we focus on his hat and not the fact that he's in the church, we blew it, didn't we? Because the reason why, maybe, and you don't know, and it's important because I'm telling you why. You don't know what that young man been through. You don't know what's on his mind. You don't even know why he's in the church, right? You don't know the kind of problem he's having. So it's important how you approach him. That's why you have to exercise self-control. You got to pray. You got to have sound faith. You got to be filled with love and patience, because you don't know what that young man been through. You don't know what's going on in his life. He come here, he wants somebody to embrace him, or just come here, just sit down, just leave him alone so he can just enjoy the service and hear a word from the Lord. And maybe the word that the preacher preaching that day is a word that young man needed to take their hat off, because the word will convict him. Take their hat. You ain't got to say nothing. But if he gets in there, we keep teaching him and loving him, showing him patience, and he look at us, he look at Wardell and me. Wardell always coming in the sanctuary with his hat in his hand. He takes it off. Y'all noticed that, didn't y'all? He comes, he takes his hat off, and that young man see that, Wardell ain't got to say a word, because he'll look at Wardell and say, oh, take the hat off. Your action will speak sometime for itself. Something you don't have to say nothing, because you'd be surprised of the folks that's watching you. This is what Paul was telling the older men in the church. Exercise self-control. That's what they weren't doing, because they were teaching all kind of crazy stuff. You don't have to have self-control. You can address any issue that you want, anything. Don't worry about it. Paul says, don't teach self-control, patience, and love. Exemplify Christ. Then he says, similar. Teach the older women. Paul told Titus to teach the older women. Okay, this is y'all now. Teach the older women to live in a way that honors God. Okay? What does that mean? Women have a softer heart than men, all right? Women have more compassion than men have, right? And that's why Paul to continue to teach the women that, because women are known for patience, for love, and that women embrace a lot of situations that men won't. Women's patience are much longer than men, because even mothers, their patience is long. No matter what the kids can do, over and over again, the mother will have patience, but the daddy ready to whip the kid and kick the kid out the house. But mama would always embrace that child, no matter what that child would do. So he said, teach the child, teach the way that honors God, that they may not slander others or be heavy drinkers. Instead, they should teach others what is good. He said, teach the women that. Okay? And apparently the women is listening, because there's more women in the church than there are men. Right? Teach the older women to live in a way that honors God. Now, go back. Your mothers, grandmothers, they really honored God, didn't they? That's why we're here today, because what our grandmothers and our mothers taught us about God. And they were rigid with the Bible. Today, my grandmother, if she were coming to church right now and see me in church as a minister without a tie on, she'd have a fit. She would. Lord have mercy, that boy. Boy, don't you know better than that? I said, my God. But is that sound doctrine? But that's the way the older folks were, because that's their way. They said, you don't honor God like that. You put your best on for God. I said, well, but we have evolved now, because we learn that it don't take all that. But you couldn't tell mama and grandmama that. Boy, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Sitting up in that pulpit without a tie on. Oh, God bless. Lord, I got to pray for that boy. Well, I didn't commit no sin. But we were, now, I don't know where they got that from. I really don't. But that's some of the things Paul was teaching. We're looking at the outward things, instead of looking at the inward. How you honor God, you look at the inward part of the person, not the outside of the person. You know, what I have on does not define who I am, right? I could be the sharpest dresser in town and be the biggest sinner in the world. It's not what I have on, it's what you have in your heart. It's not what you dress. And I come to the realization, because I think that we can get more men in the church by dressing like we dress, because men look at you, men copy, they look at you, oh, I can't go to church, I ain't got no suit like that, I can't dress like Ordell, I don't wear no Stacey Adams and all fine clothes and stuff like that, I can't do that. So that will hesitate them, but when they see how we come to church, right, how we come, even how the pastor come, we come comfortable, right? Comfortable. And then when people look at that, you don't have to tell them anything. Oh, he comes. Oh, let me give me a little nice pair of pants on, a piece of $140 sneakers. Wear them to church. Lord, they got sneakers on. Well, I'll tell you what, sneakers cost more than dress shoes right now today. I'll tell you that right now. They cost more than dress shoes. And guess what? They're more comfortable too. I don't know what y'all. I'm tired of them 3 o'clock shoes. That's why see. Priscilla used to sing a song that we don't get in the spirit like we used to, and I always tell her, because we got the more tight shoes and them ties around our neck. We can't. We all choked up and bound down. We can't do nothing. We stop shouting, right? That's my little running joke. So I say that to bring the point about how the older women would teach the way that honors God. They were teaching back in the old days how you should, but right now today, you can honor God, but not by the way you dress, but the way you have in your heart. That's how you honor God. How you treat people. How you treat people the way the way God treated you. And when we get that down packed, the church walls will bust out. The reason why a lot of churches are empty, because some of us saints we don't do that here at Turner. Some of us saints get saved and they actually forget where they came from. Right? We block out a lot of people out by how the way we act. Oh, you can't touch this. Oh, you can't do that. Why not? Why not? God's not coming back for these benches, this carpet. He's coming back for us, right? It's what we do for Christ. We honor God by our actions, by how we treat one another, how we exemplify Christ in our life. That's how you honor God. What would Jesus do? Remember the bracelets that are coming out? That's a fact. We all should be, what would Jesus do in a situation like that? That's how you honor God. He said, they must not slander or be heavy drinkers. Well, no, we don't drink in this church anyway. We might sip every now and then, but we don't drink. Y'all might quiet. Do y'all drink? Yes. All right. See, he tell the truth. See, I can respect the truth. Now, will Royal go to hell for saying what he drank? Now, if a young man was here and heard that, that would make the young man like, oh, okay. But now, Royal got to explain to that young man now. I'm gonna tell you how to drink now. You take a little nip every now and then. You don't drink to get drunk. You stay sober. Okay? I'm not telling y'all to go ahead and take a drink. Don't y'all tell that lie, Reverend, tell you to go drink. I didn't say that. What you do is your own business. I'm not judging you at all.
It's not to drink in so much where it's that hot.
Right.
No,
drinking out the bottle. Like, yeah. It's, yeah. Okay. They should teach others what is good. And it's easy. You know, good is not hard, right? Good is not hard to teach. When I was a young boy coming up in the church, I come up